Our next investigation will be with isopropyl alcohol. So we have the same setup that we had before, but you'll notice now it is adjusted in ways to try to prevent heat loss. So we've surrounded the can with a few layers of aluminum foil. We also have a lid that we'll be placing over the top, and we've increased the height of the fuel source and thereby decreasing the distance between the fuel source and the bottom of the can. So these are just some possible adjustments that can be made to the experimental setup. So I'm going to place 25 milliliters of room temperature water into the can. And we're going to first take an initial temperature of the water inside the can. So I want to make sure that my thermometer is in the water, which it is, and then go ahead and take the initial reading of the water. We want to make sure that the thermometer is not changing right now. It doesn't appear to be changing, so go ahead and record that temperature as your initial temperature of isopropyl alcohol. Then let's take the initial mass of the isopropyl alcohol and then I'll place that in my setup. I'll quickly put my cover on and we will ignite the fuel. We will let that burn until all of the fuel is gone. Meanwhile, you are watching for the highest temperature that the thermometer reaches during this trial. Okay, the fuel has all burned away, so let's watch for the highest temperature. Record that final highest temperature. And then let's check the mass of the now empty fuel container. And that's the end of trial 1. Now we'll take the lid off and we will put in new water. We'll put in our 25 milliliters of water for trial 2, and then we'll look for the initial temperature of the water. Let me make sure my thermometer is in the right spot. And then let's look at the initial temperature. Notice that it's falling, so we will wait until it stops falling, and then we'll record that as the initial temperature. When we reach the lowest temperature, we'll record that value. And then we'll record the initial mass of the container with the fuel. Record that in our data table. And then we'll place it on our setup and ignite it. Again, looking for the highest temperature that is reached. Looks like the fuel is finished burning, so we'll now just be watching for the highest temperature. Then we will weigh the empty container. And that concludes trial 2. I'll take this down, we'll get some fresh water. Let's put some fresh water in, 25 mils. And we'll look for the initial temperature. Notice that it's dropping. All right, once we reach the lowest temperature, now let's take the initial mass of the container of fuel for trial 3. We'll place that on our setup, quickly put our cover on, and ignite it. Then we'll look for the highest temperature. The fuel has finished burning, so now we'll just look to see what the highest temperature is. And now we'll take the mass of the empty fuel container. And that concludes trial 3 of isopropyl alcohol with an adjusted setup.